technology demand pull market. Each one of these is going to have a whole lot of specificities. There's cherry pits, peanut hulls, cotton waste, almond shells, truck full of biomass, nondescript biomass, I'm not sure what that is, acai pits, coconut hulls, and corn stover. This is just a smattering of some of the agricultural wastes that...
Did you say bacon, from sugar cane?
Yeah, the gas, yeah, definitely. I didn't say it, but it would fit in here. There's a whole lot of agricultural waste. Baseline, the business as usual for this is to either burn it, compost it, incorporate it back into the fields. There are definite advantages to that, but incorporating biochar into that process, locking up some of the carbon there. In some of these cases, it is simply taken to a landfill as well, and those are going to be the low-hanging fruit for biochar production. And each one of these would warrant and be worthy of significant market analysis for each one, because there's different considerations about biomass handling and market drivers and all of that for any one of these sectors. But I've talked to the head of the peanut shell industry. I've talked to guys that do lots of consulting for the cotton industry. I've talked to the heads of the Samazon acai company. They're all like, we got a biomass problem. Can you help us? So there is a need. So on the product demand pull side, this is a little bit more nebulous. Who wants biochar, and how do you create a market for something that doesn't exist yet, and people don't know that they need yet? It is the billion-dollar business student question. Initially, organic agriculture makes a lot of sense for biochar products, and this received the focus of our market analysis in the Carbon War Room report. Basically because organic agricultural producers have a high value end user product, and so they are more open to purchasing high value inputs. According to a survey that we did of the biochar industry, current selling price for biochar is about $1 a pound. So most industrial agricultural producers, they're not even going to look at you and you say, here, I got this thing that's $2,000 a ton. That price is very likely to come down over time, and I hope that it does, so that it can be accessible over a wider range. We can start to get more towards our gigaton sequestration potential, but there is a little bit of a funny period here when we're in our awkward teenage stage, figuring out who we are as an industry. But initially, marketing towards organic agricultural producers makes a lot of sense. There's also the climate-conscious consumers driving their biases. So this would be a consumer retail product, for example, somebody that perhaps like yourselves that is interested in offsetting their own carbon emissions. Maybe folks like us who would spend $5 extra on our plane ride so that we can offset our carbon emissions. Here you can sequester your carbon in the convenience of your backyard. Carbon Gold's got this one, sequester carbon while you garden. Is that super catchy, it's great, people are gonna love it. And that would be a very, a high dollar niche market. I was telling a friend of mine that I spend $5.50 on eggs because I want organic eggs where they don't clip their beaks and do all that kind of stuff. And she was like, great, I've got some $20 toothpicks that I can sell you. But these types of consumers are going to continually prioritize to do more climate-friendly things. And there's also niche horticultural markets. For example, hydroponic tomatoes, basil. I'm not sure if any of you recognize this one. If you do, that's marijuana field right there. So as marijuana is becoming more and more legalized, we get at Biochar Engineering, we get a lot of interest from marijuana growers who are like, "Hey, is this gonna make my stuff grow better?" We're like, "We don't care what you do with it. Just here you go. Have some biochar. It's legal now." So any one of these again is going to have a lot of specificities. Each one of these sectors.
Do you have any examples of people who are actually using it? Growers?
Yeah. We've sold it to 2 growers in Colorado, and they're very happy with the results. They're coming back.
They spend a lot of money on their inputs.
They sure do. They have and each one of these represents a lot of money and inputs. Although that is obviously above and beyond, and it's it's a cash crop.
They're thinking they're going to save money on their inputs by using biochar.
They're just just trying to make the best shit they can. Yeah. As far, at least from these guys' perspective. I was approached by a soil blender who is also working with A1 Organics, and they are looking at developing some biochar products specifically for that market. And that'll be a whole research process to identify what are their needs, but there we might be able to start looking at what kind of savings on their inputs might they get.
Do you know of any disaster relief options for implementing biochar or any market for disaster relief?
Yeah, so there is a big initiative to do biochar in Haiti. Nathaniel Mulcahy of World Stove was on the ground in Haiti like 2 days after the earthquake and just building stoves consistently for months. And then I've received peripherally more and more interest with folks that are saying we really want to do biochar in Haiti and build it into the infrastructure as it's growing. Similar, this is sort of a slower disaster. The UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, is very interested in biochar and its potential to both mitigate and adapt to desertification, both with respect to its water retention and ability to improve soils, and then obviously mitigating climate change by sequestering carbon.
Because many disasters also create an enormous amount of
biomass. Yeah, and that was
we saw in Galveston after Hurricane Katrina.
Definitely. Yeah, and that was the next thing I was going to say too. Biochar Engineering was really involved up to a point with talking with the folks in Galveston. We were very interested. We were like, look, we still got millions of pounds of wood. We would love to do biochar with it. They ended up having somebody else who came in and said, we want to buy it all for this much, and they were going to create a new market out of it. So we got undercut. And, given that it was pretty early stage, I think that there was a perceived risk there as well. But I think that it would really make sense for a company to position themselves to have disaster relief solutions, biomass handling solutions. I think that there could be a whole niche market there. And in addition, there's some talk around using biochar. But I'll come back to it. Using biochar as an oil spill cleanup agent and absorbent. And because it's so porous and activated charcoal is often used in those contexts. But biochar is a lot cheaper to produce, actually, even at the $2,000 a pound range, or a ton. So more research needs to be done. But one of the things that I found in doing research on how do you get a solution how do you get something as an oil spill solution, it's like you look back over what they were doing before and they're like, oh, okay, well, we just tried this over here and it kind of didn't work and it actually screwed things up worse than they were originally. But it sounds like there's not often a lot of research done when there's an urgency of an oil spill. So developing a product and taking the time to do the research in advance so that when, God forbid, that there will be another one of these happens, that there's a solution available and say, hey, here's this biochar. Our chief scientist at Biochar Engineering had patented a product called C-Sweep, which he had used for a couple of oil spills, and it was basically a specifically made biochar. Patent since expired. Go nuts.
Well, you touched on it briefly, but you noted that biochar is essentially activated charcoal, at least as far as its absorptive properties. So it seems to me, especially after a natural disaster in a remote area, if we can just set that up so that we can use its filtration possibilities to prevent waterborne diseases in the area, all we're looking at that point is looking to hold it so they can filter it and then turn it over and bury it in season.
Yeah, definitely. I think an interesting approach to that too would be to combine biochar and microremediation. So where you've got the biochar that adsorbs and holds onto the oil, and then you've got these mycorrhizal fungi. If you ever want to watch a TED Talk that will blow your mind, 6 ways that mushrooms will save the world, by Paul Stamets, world's leading mycologist. But if you were to combine the microremediation with biochar, the biochar could hold on to it while the biological processes come in and eat it and do their thing, which I know very little about. doing on time? Anybody got time?
You are at 12:28.
Okay. I kept everyone have to wait a little bit. Mine reclamation, another potential market. A lot of interest here, a lot of research being done. There's a mine outside of Aspen right now that just got a bunch of press because they're doing biochar in their cleanup efforts. And similar concept to the natural disaster. You got a bunch of heavy metals and toxins in the soil. Add some biochar, it'll prevent it from leaching off into the groundwater. The main driver in the Aspen situation was that the metals were leaching into their drinking water. So obviously a big health concern there. And definitely more research needs to be done, but very, very good potential high dollar end user. The mining cleanup companies will spend between $1,000 and $4,000 per acre to reclaim the land that they've been to. And since the Mining and Reclamation Act of 1974, they now have to put a bunch of money into a trust, and they don't get that money back until the land has reached a certain ecological viable standard. We talked about this a little bit now. This is a mess. Biochar could help to clean it up, be part of the cleanup solutions, particularly in marshlands. A lot of the interest is in marshlands, in part because biochar can be broadcast over the marsh with minimal mechanical damage. A lot of the concern with marshland cleanup is that you're going to damage the ecology more than if you were to just leave it and let it turn to asphalt, which they do use as a strategy sometimes. Green roofs is a very cool potential market, and Biochar Engineering just sold a bunch of biochar to a green roof developer who's looking to make a product out of it. Part of the interest here is that biochar can be used as a growing medium. There's going to be some research on this, but the thought is it can go up to 50%. And because it's so lightweight, more buildings essentially become eligible for a green roof without significant structural retrofitting. And then it also can reduce the amount of irrigation that's required and reduce the amount of nitrogen runoff, etc. So very, very cool potential end market. Cool being a distinct marketing factor in term. Oh, and speaking of, raise your hand if you think biochar is cool. Come on, hands up. Or you don't have to. If you don't think biochar is cool, don't make me force you. So here's just a smattering of some of the luminaries that are into biochar. Some of these you may know. Al Gore recently included it in his book, Our Chance? Our Planet? What is it?
Our Planet.
Is it Our Planet? Yes. Okay. Our Choice.
Our Choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bill McKibben. Today is 10-10-10. You guys have participated in some 10-10-10 funness. He's a big fan of biochar. There's a great article in Orion magazine called Plants Suck. You can't get it online now, but I have it if you want. You can email me and I'll send it to you. It's brilliant. Richard Branson's obviously a fan. Partially funded a small biochar operation through the Carbon Forum. Jerry Harrison is the former keyboardist for the Talking Heads and is now with Ben Earth. Great guy. Jim Hansen, Chief Climate Scientist for NASA. Tim Flannery, if you ever want to read a mind-blowing book on climate change and how we are actually making the weather, his book Weather Makers is just stunning. It's incredibly scientific and technical, and it's very beautiful and poetically written as well. It's a great combination. Ken Salazar, Secretary of Interior, actually initially put biochar into the Farm Bill. James Lovelock, Gaia theorist, inventor extraordinaire, crazy guy, says biochar could be our last chance to save mankind. Chris Goodall, who's written quite a few books on climate, one of his top 10 technologies to save the world, of which biochar was one of them. And Tom Vilsack, Secretary of Agriculture, keynoted the last biochar conference, U.S. biochar conference in Boulder, and promised us there that in 2011 we would start seeing more research funding, grant funding for biochar. So I'll be calling him personally if I don't see any. And there's some great companies that are also starting